July, 23rd of July 2026, exactly 7 days to the end of the month. Wale walikuwa nangojea mshahara. It's only 7 days to go. Karibu sana, this is TV47 Breakfast. My name is Fred Indimuli. A very special day at the courts. Finally, the big case about that Sharon Otieno murder trial. Judgment is being delivered today. Ile na concern ex-governor Okoth Obado and two of his aides. It's happening today.
So we'll be keeping an eye on that. A lot has been happening in the corridors of justice. So kumbukeni pia lawyers walikuwa wametengeneza go slow. Are they going back today?
There are a number of judges that lawyers have been directed to continue boycotting, about 14 of them. Jana ilikuwa cross-board for one day, but now there are still 14 others who will be, I think LSK has directed lawyers to stay away from. We'll be having two lawyers today on the panel on State of the Nation. Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui and Joshua Nyamori will be here to tell us more about that.
All right. My name is Annie Odida. It's just, is it 8 or even 7? Lakini unajua hiyo mambo ya salary, civil servants leo. Unajua kwanza walimu, tomorrow watakuwa washaanza kupata some shoes.
Waliongezewa 700. Hapana. Can you review that?
Mnipe hiyo kama mtaki. All right, this is TV47 Breakfast. Do interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. It's TV47 Digital on X. My handle is at Annie_Odida.
Mine is at Fred Indimuli.
Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, light rains expected in Kirinyaga today, 17 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. The same in Meru, 12 degrees this morning, highs of 21 degrees. It's raining. Narok, it's raining as well, 13 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. That's as far as Kirinyaga, Meru, and Narok, so it's raining across. It's 18 degrees in Kisumu this morning, highs of 29 degrees. It's also raining. Nairobi, there will be light rains and it's relatively cold in Nairobi. 15 degrees this morning, doesn't feel like it. Highs of 24 degrees. Kwale, it's a cloudy day, holiday weather. 21 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees in Kwale County today. That's the state of the weather.
Right, if you look at the the stories on X can be very funny and they're not even holding back their words. Raymond Omolo is top trend today on X. Lakini ukisoma your title, ebu soma na usisome loudly. There's a blogger who's accusing him of blah 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 blah. X. Kujeni pole pole.
Reject.
Anyway, let's get some inspiration with the quote of the day.
Change doesn't always originate from authority. Each of us holds the power to make a difference, and even the smallest acts of courage and kindness can ignite a ripple effect.
All right, let's come back now and take a look at the local dailies. Let's take a look at the local dailies now, and we start off with the Daily Nation. I think this one, what the president said the other day about university fees, a varsity fees reality check for Ruto. Is it a clamp down? Officials seek to downplay import of president's statement. So this is what the president said. Going forward, any student, so long as they have passed the examination and have been placed in a college or university, each one of them will get full funding for their higher education. He went on to say it will be the choice of parents if they want to pay. But if parents don't want to pay, we now have a model that will pay for every child. Kuna mzazi anaweza sema, no, me, I want to pay. Anyway. So he said, I implore on Parliament to expedite amendments to the HELB Act so that beginning September, we can make sure that any child who qualifies, funding does not deter them from achieving their goals. That is what the president said. But now people are questioning. President Ruto has promised to review the controversial higher education funding model that he introduced in 2022, scrapping the system under which students pay different amounts based on their financial strength and instead ensuring full funding for all learners. However, his statement on Tuesday has sparked confusion over what exactly he meant. Will all students study for free? Will they receive sufficient loans and bursaries to cover their academic costs? This is what is covered on page 6 and 7, because maswali ni mengi. As it is right now, universities are yet to receive the disbursement that was allocated to them through the budget. Yes? In fact, the government owes a number of universities a lot of funding. Then the president comes and says, no, going forward by September, actually, they'll be fully funded. Every person who going to university will be fully funded. One, from where? Two, is it an allocation through the budget? Is it a loan? What exactly will happen? Where is this money coming from? Because if at all it was to happen in this financial year, that discussion should have been in the budget-making process.
Yes, it is a loan. Because he's saying after they're done with school, then they'll be able to get employment and then they'll get slashed from there.
But you look at these figures here. HELB already has a deficit of about 50%. The allocation of 56.71 billion, it requires 114 billion. So where is the deficit coming from? Where will this be plugged from? Are we going to borrow? And even borrowing, you know, you have to plan it through the budget-making process. So what exactly did the president say? Because people like David Ndii, who's the president's advisor, has also told people as they discuss, no, he did not say he'll fund people fully. So what exactly did the president mean? I think what you're asking for, because it is a very nice proposal and no one would say no to such, but what exactly did the president mean? If at all the Ministry of Education would come out, or the president clarifies, or State House clarifies, it would really mean a lot to Kenyans.
I feel like there wasn't enough consultation done before he made that announcement with stakeholders, Ministry of Education, just everybody who is concerned with matters of higher education. So that's why there's still lack of proper communication there.
It is a very big pronouncement by the president. We do hope it actually works out. Fully funded university students, why not? Why not? So that story is on page 6 and 7. You can read more to understand why people are questioning what will happen. All Kalau goons roam free despite president's order. The president also had said that these people will be arrested and prosecuted. Days later, so a lot of questionings of some of the statements by the president. Anaongea tu ama whatever he says means something. CCTV footage reveals Ojwang's last moments is another story there, and we continue following that in the courts as police officers and other investigators continue presenting CCTV footage to the court. There's a launch. The former Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, it was Stephen Kiama-Gitahi. He's finally launching his autobiography this week, and the Daily Nation is serializing the same. In the first tranche of that serialization, he talks about student goons, very apt, dirty politics, and rise of Babu Owino. So that serialization is on page 2 and 3, book serialization, and the title of this book is called Dancing with the Devil, and they'll continue for the rest of this week. Very interesting read there. That's the main stories on the page, on the front page. Lawyers boycott disrupts court sessions. Yesterday, lawyers stayed away from courts, and they will continue doing so in some courts, but most of them are returning back to work. A varsity reality check, confusion over Ruto's universal funding plan. Ideally, I think it should have been the CS in charge of that to tell us more. Sifuna meeting Matiang'i is a story that is covered here on page 10. Matters of opposition politics. Gachagua turns to Raila's playbook in war with Ruto on page 10. More politics there. All right, so those are the main stories on the front page of the Daily Nation. Back page of the Daily Nation, at least now we are moving away from matters World Cup. They talk about the Starlets ready to conquer Morocco as show begins. So the 2026 WAFCON, Kenya opens her campaign against hosts on Sunday. So Kenya plays Morocco on Sunday. All the best to the Starlets. That's the Daily Nation.
All right, let's take a look at the Standard now. Troubled past. And Charles Owino is on the front page here. They call him a spin doctor that once the unapologetic face of the police is now President William Ruto's chief communicator, carrying the baggage of his defense of police conduct during the Gen Z protest and killing of masked vendor, the death of Albert Ojwang in custody, and controversial security crackdowns. Now, critics see a loyalist appointed to defend the indefensible as public anger over police brutality, governance failures, and worsening economic hardship intensifies. His biggest challenge will not be speaking for the government, but convincing a deeply skeptical nation that is speaking the truth. Yeah, so Owino has made very, let's say, remarks that are not quite empathetic before. That is why I think the Standard is talking about now whatever he's going to say moving forward will have a lot of questions, whether he's saying the truth, whether he means it.
But I also think this is a compliment to the gentleman, because when he was police spokesperson, he was always ready to answer any questions, and he could spin any story in any direction and still come out like the police are doing something good. So they're saying now, as government spokesman, if he does the same, this government could be lucky.
Atasafisha rada.
Atasafisha rada. That's what they're saying is a spin doctor.
There's something here. This story has been captured on page 6, and Owino's past statements continue to draw scrutiny. At the height of the 2025 Gen Z protest in June 30, 2025, Owino did an interview where he defended the close-range shooting of Kariuki, and he said it was a very simple exchange. If you listen to that clip closely, you will hear that boy abusing the policeman. Yeah, so this is one of the controversial things that he said. He also defended that shoot to kill order. Shoot on the leg, not shoot to kill. Shoot on the leg, don't shoot to kill. Yeah.
His job was a spin doctor, and he did it well, I think.
Okay. Coolidge is on the top strip. Numbers don't lie. Opposition will pick the best to face Ruto. This is a special report. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the decisive factor in settling on a candidate to face President William Ruto will be the votes each aspirant brings to the table, arguing that considerations such as age and experience are secondary. Yes, so kila mtu bado anaenda kwa consolidate votes and bring to the table for the opposition. On the inside pages, CCTV tears holes in police story on Ojwang's death. That story is on page 2. Health workers strike fault governors on CBA. That's another story still on page 2. Clergy says get rid of goons so risk flawed elections. I also feel like the clergy is always just speaking without really doing much about what they're saying.
Do we still listen to them? That's the thing.
Yeah.
You still listen to them?
That's the question. That's the question.
They can continue talking, by the way.
Yeah. It's allowed.
Yeah.
It's allowed.
Who's listening?
Yeah. Still on the Standard, Matiang'i, Sifuna in strategy talks ahead of 2027 showdown. And there's another story that has captured that, another paper, and we'll be taking a look at that. Boycott paralyzes court business as LSK judiciary standoff deepens. That's another story on page 5. That's a story about teachers. Teachers seek fresh pay deal after civil servants awarded hefty raise. Yeah, walikuwa awarded 700 Kenyan shillings. I know they'll not get the last of it when you're here. Now you're 700 walipewa.
They're not happy about it. They're not happy about it.
But it's better than nothing.
They're calling for a review. I said, we need to negotiate a bit more.
And by 1st August, civil servants will be getting a pay raise. So.
And theirs will not be that meager.
Yeah. Yeah, from TSC critic to commissioner, the irony behind Sosion's return.
And yes, Wilson Sosion was one of our regular panelists every Thursday here.
Yeah.
Today being a Thursday now, after he's been appointed to the TSC as a commissioner. That's it. He can no longer sit on our panels, just like that.
Sosion.
Unless he's just coming to talk about teachers.
Yeah.
But congratulations to him, Mwalimu Wilson Sosion. He's been with us for quite a while. So congratulations on your new appointment.
All right. So if approved by Parliament, the former NAT boss will help oversee policies he fiercely opposed as a union leader. On the back page, shame of 300,000 reward for KVF league champs after a grueling season. That's the Standard, a very interesting paper today. So you can grab a copy.
All right. From the bold newspaper to the fresh, independent and different. That's the Star. So it talks about Matiang'i, and I think you've mentioned that as well from the Star, from the Standard. Matiang'i left out as Sifuna Kalonzo combo takes shape. But what you are seeing on other papers is that meeting between Sifuna and Matiang'i. But now this paper talks about how Matiang'i has been left out of that. From being Uhuru's preferred frontrunner, he's now struggling to survive. People are no longer talking about Matiang'i as a possible flag bearer in the opposition ticket.
Yeah.
Because everyone is talking about Kalonzo, Sifuna, Kalonzo, Sifuna, Sifuna, Kalonzo. And Sifuna is getting a lot of support from across board. What does it mean for Matiang'i, who is a deputy party leader of Jubilee and has the support of former President Uhuru Kenyatta? You can read that story on page 6 of this paper. The story about Albert Ojwang continues. In court, CCTV viewing raises fresh questions in Ojwang case, and those videos have been made available online. You can just watch it for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's disturbing. I know it is still a case in court, but very disturbing. So this is just, we're talking about the evidence there. Former Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam, John Muhwana, Peter Kimani, John Gige Gitao, Jean Amitu Abwao, and Brian Moneki. These are just some of the suspects in the dock during the hearing of the murder trial of teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang at the Kibera Law Courts in Nairobi yesterday. You can read more on that on page 2. Detectives arrest prime suspect in murder of TUK lecturer Edgar Mokua. Wale watu walikuwa involved in the death of this lecturer. The main suspect has been arrested. And President Ruto's running mate headache as 2027 election arithmetic shifts. Now this ideally I think should have been, meka kwa spread ile 4 and 5. I think that's what they wanted to deal with. So Ruto's possible running mates, Kithure Kindiki, Moses Wetangula, Musalia Mudavadi, Gladys Wanga, Wycliffe Oparanya, Hassan Joho, Anne Waiguru, John Badi. Hapa ni shida. This is a headache.
Hadi Oparanya?
Hata Oparanya. This is a headache. And that's the spread on pages 4 and 5 of this paper with an analysis by Dismas Mokua, where he says Ruto needs a running mate with 3 qualities. Which qualities are those? Grab yourself a copy of this paper. Fresh, independent, different. The Star is going for 60 bob here in Kenya.
Alright, Taifa Leo, Sifuna na Matiang'i wapangana. Naibu kinara wa chama cha Jubilee Daktari Fred Matiang'i na kiongozi wa vuguvugu la Linda Mwananchi Edwin Sifuna wameanzisha ushirikiano wa kisiasa kuhakikisha mmoja wao anatoa nafasi ya kupeperusha bendera ya upinzani kwa wadhifa wa urais katika uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka ujao. Wanasiasa hao wanalenga kuhakikisha maeneo ya Magharibi na Nyanza yanasajili wapiga kura zaidi ya milioni 5, idadi ambayo itarahisishia mmoja wao kupata tikiti ya upinzani, vinara wakikaa mezani kuteua mgombeaji. Huku viongozi tofauti wa upinzani wakimezea tikiti ya kuwania urais mwaka ujao, wawili hawa wabuni mbinu mpya. So what happens if neither of them is chosen by the united opposition? That's a story on page 2.
It's a Western axis now that they're talking about Western Kenya, Bungoma, and then extending to Kisii. Just leaving out Luo Nyanza. They should get some, but you have Governor Orengo from Luo Nyanza.
They have Babu too.
And Babu, you know, although, Nairobi, like it's hard. Sifuna now is moving from Nairobi to to kule kwingine. Kuna homecoming inakuja this weekend. Bungoma.
Alright, vidokezo zaidi. Gachagua aiga mbinu za Raila. Aimiza raia kususia bidhaa na kuhamasisha wananchi kupitia mikutano ya kisiasa. Wakanusha kusafirisha kokeni ya shilingi milioni 4, wanne kizimbani kwa madai ya kusafirisha kokeni ya thamani ya karibu shilingi milioni 4. Rais Trump apokea miili ya wanajeshi, ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 8. Kule juu anazungumzia habari ya Ojwang na hiyo ni gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Right. People daily talking about politics, and of course they continue their analysis of what would happen next year. They've been doing all this arithmetic for different candidates and what they would do for their campaigns. So today it's Gachagua on the spot, why allies want Gachagua to run. The story is on page 4, but they quote a lot of people here who believe that Rigathi Gachagua should be on the ballot come 2027, running for president. And they quote the former deputy president himself saying, "I wish to confirm to my supporters across the country that I am eligible to vie as a presidential candidate and I will be on the ballot on the 10th of August next year." A lot of discussions across most of the papers on how or who should be on the ticket for the opposition for 2027. And that's the main story on the front page of the People Daily. From that, we take a look at business.
Treasury ousts 4 Kenya directors amid clashes. Ejection follows fight between CEO and board, and minority investors demand 3 seats in legal suit. That's another story on page 2. They say 60% treasury stake in the Kenya Reinsurance Corporation, Kenya Re. That story on lawyers as they boycott court is also given prominence in the inside pages today. All phones, laptops, they have a 1-year warranty. Yeah. So all mobile phones, tablets and laptops sold in Kenya must now come with a minimum 1-year warranty and a return policy under new consumer protection rules, putting vendors at risk of fines of at least 500,000 shillings for breaches. But zinakuanga na warranty ya 1 year ama sio zote?
Nafikiri kuna zile zinakuja bila. Especially refurbished phones. Those ones come without warranty. Ukinunua wewe beba mzigo.
I used phone. That's done for you. That's the Business Daily.
All right. Quickly in Uganda, because we still don't get even the e-paper comes a bit late. So they talk about varsity scholarships set for major vice chancellors to become accounting officers. More or less a discussion we're having in Kenya. Funding for universities. That's a big story. Plus, General Moses Ali laid to rest. Moses Ali was actually the second deputy prime minister in Uganda up until May this year when he retired due to medical reasons and passed on early this week, and he was laid to rest yesterday. All right, so that's the main story in Uganda. We cross over Tanzania. The Citizen, business as usual won't fly here, state entities told. Yeah, wanasema uni treasury registrar Nehemiah Mchechu. Public institutions have been challenged to abandon the business as usual approach and embrace innovation, accountability, and performance-driven leadership. Tanzania to list debut shilling bond on London Stock Exchange. That's another one. An interesting story there about Tanzania's prospects elsewhere. Gazeti la Mwananchi, Lissu mkuu wa gereza walivyobanana kotini, wanaendeleza kuhadithia habari za kule kotini. And I think the picture today on the Mwananchi is even clearer that Tundu Lissu kuna dreadlocks sasa. Amekaa kizimbani kule korokoroni mwaka mmoja na zaidi ya mwaka mmoja.
Yeah.
Sasa kuna dreadlocks. Sasa mwenyekiti wa Chadema Tundu Lissu hapa amepigwa picha kukumbatiana na kada wa chama hicho, mchungaji Peter Msigwa katika chumba cha mahakama kuu jijini Dar es Salaam. Lissu na Msigwa wameonana kwa mara ya kwanza tangu kada huyo arejee Chadema akitokea CCM. Ni kesi tu inaendelea. Gen Z kuteka soko muhimu la bidhaa hizi ni habari nyingine kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili la Mwananchi. And those are the local and regional dailies today. Let's come back and take a look at the cartoons. This morning the cartoons, we start off with the one on the Standard rather. The Standard, they're talking about the boycott by Law Society of Kenya. The Standard. Yes. The boycott by the Law Society of Kenya on the judiciary. Law Society caricatured there as a complaint. Inapita tu nywe pale judiciary.
Yeah.
They don't have time for the judiciary. Yes, we'll be discussing that.
All right. Daily Nation, Iga says, talks about the increment the teachers have been given, but now they say that they're getting an increment, but then taxes and cost of living zinawangoja hapo chini. Sahani ya taxes and cost of living is bigger than the increment.
Ile increment pale wamepewa ni shilingi. Unajua hata haijafika ile noti ya thao. It's just coins. Na zinaenda kwa taxes. The cartoon on People Daily talks about what's happening with the university students who are applying for scholarships and help funding, and they're even declaring their parents dead so that they can access more. So there's one student hapa kwa scholarships anasema, and he's accompanied by the parents who are old, but anasema, I want a bigger scholarship. As you can see, both my parents are dead. Na wako hapo ni kuzeeka tu wamezeeka. That's No Stake People Daily.
All right. Finally, the one on the Star, right, there's a caricature of Rigathi Gachagua and Deputy President Kithure Kindiki. Gachagua is extending a leaf.
An olive branch.
Yeah, an olive branch to the Deputy President.
Yeah.
Atachukua.
Alimwambia, no, tuachane na, we're not going to criticize the Deputy President any longer. Meanwhile, the Deputy President is talking about unity. Amesema hataki kusikia ati mambo ya division ati upande ile. No. Kenya is one, east or west. Yeah. So those are the cartoons and big headlines this morning on our dailies, and we'll be taking a look at them on State of the Nation. This morning, for State of the Nation, and I told you earlier, we're going to be having Wakili Harrison Kenyanjui, Wakili Joshua Nyamori, political analyst Ikua Wambote, and a political strategist Derek Betts on set in a few minutes. Later on, because it's Thursday,
right,
utakuwa nazungumzia matters job creators versus job seekers with a very big panel of young Kenyans.
Yeah. So how they're using innovation and hubs to empower themselves and graduates.
Then later on the show, married but single, man to man, we're having gentlemen. Unaelewa married but single?
Man talk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, uko married lakini you're not even getting the first of all, what are the benefits of marriage?
But you're not receiving any, yet you're married.
Yeah.
Where? Moto. Married but single, uko single, but that one coming later on at 9. Before that, and before we take a break, let's take a look at the traffic situation in and around Nairobi. All right, so the major highways in Nairobi look like this morning. Yes, quite busy at the Pangani interchange, and it's going as far back as the KCA University. That's on Thika Road heading towards town. Other major highways, the Eastern Bypass, kama kawaida pale Utawala, and closer along the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport fence, all the way from the KQ headquarters to City Cabanas, a bit of slow traffic there. Leo kuna traffic pale further at Natasia, quite a bit of traffic, areas around Pipeline as matatus carry passengers. Jogoo Road, nothing new to report, pale Makadara too. And Mudhurwa is looking good. Haile Selassie Avenue building up slowly once you get into town. Railways roundabout to Landis Road, on both sides of the road, it's getting busy. And Mombasa Road, all the way from the airport, looking good, nothing to report there. And the other side of town, Wayaki Way, not bad. Ngong Road, kama kawaida. So leo inakani kama traffic sio mbaya sana, especially on Thika Road. It's a smoother day. Enjoy your traffic this Thursday morning.
To enjoy your traffic. All right, Freddie amesema enjoy your traffic, but I'm here thinking, how is that possible? So you're on a rush to work, especially if you're along Thika Road.
Watu wa Thika Road washazoea. They are so used to that traffic that siku ile watakuja wapate. Kama siku ile polisi walifunga. You'd rather go back home because you're not certain what's happening. Thika Road without traffic, that's not Thika Road.
Kama hujamka usiamke. Try again tomorrow. Interact with us. It's TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X, TV47 Digital. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Yetu. You can tag us. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
Mine is at Freddie Ndimuli. See you after the break.
A home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You know here?
Yes.
You learn the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
Then you move it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mkorada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako.
All right, good morning once again and welcome back to TV47 Breakfast. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Time for us to take a look at the state of the nation. Now, yesterday, the Law Society led lawyers across the country in boycotting the courts and judges across the country. It meant that even litigants could not be able to access or process their cases in court. And we just want to take a look at what that means going forward, because we are able to understand that the boycott could somewhat continue as judges, a number of judges being declared unfit, and the Law Society is asking lawyers to boycott those particular judges. So this morning, to help us understand what exactly is happening, we do have Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui with us. Wakili, karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
We also have political analyst Ikua Wambote, fresh from the All Kalau by-elections, and congratulations once again for a job well done. We'll be talking more about opposition politics later. But let's start with you, Wakili. And many Kenyans may not understand, okay, fine, what exactly it means to boycott judges, and will this continue against any number of judges going forward? What is your intention? What do you intend this to achieve?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first say that the judiciary occupies a constitutional position in our social, economic, political architecture. And we as a Kenyan people decided at the get-go, even before colonialism, the issue of justice in society was entrenched in every culture that I know of. If you notice, when the African societies were set up before colonization, I don't think you can find any place, at least in Africa, or let me just confine myself to the Kenyan context, because in West Africa there were scenarios that you could find a cell to hold quote-unquote criminals. So in African societies, there were norms, there were taboos, there were cultures that the society nurtured people from a very tender age to recognize, to respect, to uphold as the rules of existence. Come colonization, then we have the British system of governance, and the judicial arm was erected. Up to this day, it bears these foreign structures to it. And the expressions, even in the court today, of the parameters of adjudication and delivery of justice are still couched in foreign terms, Latin maxims. You have one maxim that says that that which is illegal from the beginning cannot vest in you subsequently any right if from the beginning it was illegal. The Latin maxim used in court to a stranger, you will hear ex turpi causa oritur non actio. That's a legal, it's a legal maxim. It's used today. So the Kenyan person is confronted without legal representation with that strange expression. But it is basically to say, if you stole something, your root of possession and title to that is fatal. You cannot pass any better title to somebody else. You cannot sell something that you stole. So we have the judiciary today erected as an institution to deliver justice, but it enjoys a monopoly. Now, there is the right to access justice, which is found in Article 48 of the Constitution. And once you find yourself in the justice system, there is a hierarchy of the courts, beginning with the tribunals that are established, like the Transport Appeals Tribunal, where if the NTSA does a decision that you're aggrieved by, then you can appeal under Section 38 to the Transport Appeals Tribunal, the Electricity Tribunal, the Tax Tribunal. So at that level, you then find the lowest instrumentality of the judiciary now to which you can secure justice. Then you go to the Chief Magistrate's Court, which then have a hierarchy, the High Court, then the Court of Appeal, and ultimately the Supreme Court. Now, all these are manned by personnel that are hired by the Judicial Service Commission. And there is a basic assumption that these personnel, the staff that man the institution at that basic level, should I say administrative level, all the way up to the highest level of the Chief Justice, that they have subscribed to the Code of Conduct. And that's by law. In the Judicial Service Code of Conduct, you find parameters of conduct that a judge and a judicial officer, that means someone who's a clerk or a court administrator in the justice system, must abide by. They have to subscribe. They have to sign that too. Now the question is now, on a practical daily basis, in their functional services or service rendering, do they live up to these particular expectations in the code? So you find corruption, for instance, but bias, nepotism, sexual harassment, and so on and so forth. All those are supposed to be then resolved, if you have a complaint, by the Judicial Service Commission. So the Judicial Service Commission is an instrumentality by means of which a resolution implicating the judiciary or the judicial officers should be resolved. Now you have a separate arm called the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman is supposed then to inquire such administrative or other complaints that you may have against public officers, including they who are in the judiciary. Now, what has happened is that complaints are leveled, and
before the judicial,
the JSC, And the JSC has a law society representative, a member from the bench, that is the judges, the magistrates, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into that because of time. But that JSC being vested now with the power to investigate the conduct that is complained of against a judicial officer is again presumed to be objective about the law, apolitical, meaning that it doesn't, side with this side or the other side of the political divide. And it's supposed to be very objective, fair, and all those tenets are there. But the question is, do they intend to abide by those principles and precepts?
The Judicial Service Commission.
The Judicial Service Commission. Now, you find that if a judge, for instance, has had complaints against him or her, and they then are not prepared to go before the JSC and objectively have that dispute resolved, they rush to the High Court in the manner and the style that he can attest to the violence in Okalau, the bribery and all of that. A certain member of Parliament, of the National Assembly, was found by the Electoral Commission's committee to be guilty of electoral offences. And then he rushed to the High Court. And the Judicial Review Division then gave him an order to stop the finding taking effect. The fine he couldn't pay because of it's kept in a frozen state until now the case is heard and determined. Now everybody has a right to access justice, like I said, under Article 48. Everybody has a right to a fair trial under Article 25C, Sub-Article C of the Constitution, as read with Article 50, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution. However, the High Court at that level intervenes. In other words, this judge with a complaint before the Judicial Service Commission goes before another judge. Now, we do not know, and I don't want to cast aspersions on any judicial officer. We do not know how this judge with a complaint is professionally related with a judge now, hearing his or her complaint, or saying that, the JSC isn't like to give me a fair hearing, the JSC is, whatever it is. So you find that state of the freezing of the Judicial Service Commission complaint is perpetuated over a long period of time. In the meanwhile, and because the whatever is suspended, the inquiry is suspended, this judge, he continues. He continues. Yes. But you must remember, the initial complaint before the JSC against this particular judge may have been corruption. So the act of freezing this inquiry does not, stop this judge from continuing to receive bribes. There's one particular judge, for instance, who has a complaint in the public domain that, he was so brazen that, the demand for the bribe was so brazen. And so that is a problem which is there. Now, I'm not saying that I support the idea that, advocate should then boycott cases, because you're in a fiduciary position as a lawyer. A client has come to you, you do not support the boycott that took place yesterday. No. Hear me out. I do not wholly. Because I'm saying here, there's a failure on the part of the JSC, which has led to this scenario. And there is a collapse of the communication, because the the Chief Justice was saying in her statement that, look, we do have a forum, and this forum of the Senior Counsel and other members of the bar, and plus now the magistrates and the judges, should resolve this like an in-house thing. However, the person who suffers most is that very consumer of justice. I must remind Kenyans, Article 46 of the Constitution does say that your consumer rights extend to services rendered by the government. And the judiciary is failing. And one of the areas that the judiciary is failing is because the Chief Justice, in cahoots with, I'm going to say this with respect to her. Yes. Because it's a pending court case.
And we'll be back to you, Wakili, in a short while, because we also want Wakili Nyamori to join the panel so that he can contribute to this as well. But
could I finish that point then?
Very briefly, so that I will take another angle, yes.
Yeah. So now the judiciary is having this e-filing system, and it fails. And so you find that you, as a lawyer, you have the obligation to your client. You're unable then to file this case, not because of your fault, not because of your client's fault, but because of the judiciary's system of filing.
Okay.
And they have railroaded everybody else into it. Now that poor, the indigent person, who is unable then to access the e-system, the digital filing system, you've cut him or her off.
Okay.
You've denied him justice.
Mm-hmm. So quite a number of lawyers allege judicial corruption and misconduct, chronic delays in case determination, registry inefficiencies, what you mentioned, e-filing disruptions and poor case management, discourteous treatment of advocates, weak mechanisms for handling complaints against judicial officers. But Bonekua, a lot of these things were intended, and these problems, because they've existed for a very long time, were intended to be remedied by some of these commissions, Judicial Service Commission. And each and every week we're talking about failure of this Chapter 15 commissions. Now we're talking about the JSC failing to fully do its job. And now because a judge can just move to court and block his inquiry, and that's it. Are we saying that it is our constitution that's failing? Or what is happening to all these commissions that were intended to remedy a lot of these ills?
Well, it's very unfortunate that some of these safeguards that were put by our constitution to be able to protect the Kenyans from obvious exploitations. Many Kenyans are not able to access government services, or else they are not able to access their rights as they should be. And the reason as to why we had these commissions put in place is to be able to check government institutions in terms of performance and service deliveries thereof. Mm-hmm. But I want us to, bring it down to a common mwananchi understanding on what is happening. Because as Wakili Kinyanjui would explain it, he would explain it in such a high legal terms that most of our viewers would want to understand what exactly is happening. I want to take the opportunity and simplify it. How many people are in prisons today because they could not have access, justice, or probably afford it thereof? How many guys are in prison, and they could have as well, innocently so, they are stuck in prisons? How many people, we say justice delayed, justice denied. How many cases, and I can see here one of the complaints that wakilis are talking about is because cases have been taking ages and all the time in courts. I mean, all you see is a lawyer walking into court with your files, but you've never gotten justice. We have cases that have dragged in courts for 20 years, 25 years. Some of these cases are, succession cases and others. People have died. We have to now go through another succession for us to be able to start the case again. So all these scenarios, including now the obvious, what we can see, the capture or what I'll call lack of independence of the judiciary, especially when it comes to the interferences of the executive thereof. So those are the big questions that Kenyans are asking themselves without removing the tag of corruptions and things like that. Because we've seen in these bulletins, judges, as recent, I think last week or this week, someone being arrested. Well, yesterday? Was it yesterday? Yeah. A judge was arrested.
No, a magistrate.
A magistrate was arrested in the middle of correcting a bribe. So why was it being corrected? It is a version, of justice that was being done on that table, which means there will be affected parties. Somebody is not going to get justice. Those are the questions that I would want to challenge our lawyers in these panels today to be able to continue putting pressure on the judiciary so that they can be able to not only serve us with justice, because that is exactly why they're established, but of course, lead by the front in this country. The biggest problem in this country is corruption.
All right.
Corruption have killed institutions, independent bodies like the one you've just asked me, that have been established by our constitution, so that they can be able to protect Kenyan, from exploitation of the already established, arms of government, are not working. They are not working. And that is the question you asked this morning. What is the problem? The people, the men and women that we have entrusted with these independent bodies to act independently And I'll give an example with what was happening in Orkara with the IBC. Look at how they are trying to, how confused they are. And I know we'll get there. How confused they are in terms of trying to respond to various complaints that Kenyans are raising. But you would hear even a commissioner telling, send us those complaints. As if you live in the moon and come back here in the morning. You can't see things. Things are being reported everywhere. Okay. So all I'm saying, one of the biggest fabric of this country that needs to be stitched, it is the independence of our institutions. Because those institutions were established with a particular reason to protect Kenyans from exploitation of on already established constitutional powers. And that is where we have failed. When you hear somebody telling us about roads and bridges and things like that, we are telling them that the fabrics of our country is torn.
Okay.
And that is what we need to fix.
And it's a serious tear. Allow me to welcome Wakili Joshua Nyamori into the panel. We're talking about the boycott by lawyers against some judges. Yesterday it was a blanket boycott, but I am made to understand that a few judges will still experience this boycott of their sessions in court. But when we see such actions from LSK, from the Law Society, it means something is not working. Because ideally, the Judicial Service Commission should have been able to handle these things. And we were trying to examine, if at all that's where the problem is, that Chapter 15 commissions in Kenya are simply not working. That everything appears to have come to a halt and people are opting for alternative ways to just express their displeasure or dissatisfaction. Do you agree that there's a failure or there's a huge tear when it comes to such commissions like the JSC?
Yeah, I'll answer that, but let me start from the point that LSK and lawyers who are involved in the boycott are raising fundamental issues on access to justice. And you see, every Kenyan should be free to be able to go to court to get his or her dispute litigated impartially and in time. The challenge has been the delays, the backlogs, the relationship between the litigants, including lawyers, and the judicial officers, and then corruption, and that's a reality. Yeah, so to the extent of resolving the issues that are affecting court, I support a raising of the issues and finding a solutions. The challenge I have is blanketly joining this boycott. And I need to let you know that from here, I'm going to court. And I'm going to court because I have clients who have matters that need the attention of the judicial officers. The question as a lawyer is when LSK calls for a boycott against a judicial officer, but that judicial officer is dealing with a matter. For instance, one of the matters that I'm dealing with is the fact that the county government of Kisumu has failed to light up the city, and the city is dark. And we noting that there's a constitutional duty, so I've gone to court. And then LSK tells me that even though the residents of Kisumu are dying of robbery with violence, and being killed and robbed, I should suspend that, awaiting, Judicial Service Commission's removal of this judicial officer. My view is that the boycott should be the last. It is one of the instruments that LSK can use, but it should be the last. Mm-hmm. Have we exhausted all the options? Okay, all over the world, law societies all over the world are vigorously engaged with their partners, which is the judiciary, to try and resolve the problems that are facing access to justice. But then there are very many instruments they have. LSK has a representation, not one, but two, in the Judicial Service Commission. Mm-hmm. So when the Judicial Service Commission takes a decision, it is not, it is a decision that must be owned by LSK. But it is not only the LSK, we have very many other stakeholders. So Judicial Service Commission remains the first door to knock, okay? Then we should be asking ourselves, are we properly represented in the Judicial Service Commission. I know that we have variable representation in Judicial Service Commission. Then we have the option of litigating these issues. Okay, and we have the options of sitting down. We have the court users committees. We have the forums where the LSK sits with other stakeholders in access to justice. I think we should explore that. And then boycott comes at the last minute. Then you ask a question. Have the commissions failed? I think I've answered part of it by saying that, unlike previously when we had no stakeholder representation in forums that could solve these problems, we do have stakeholder representation right now, and that is critical. The question is that are the representation within those bodies going back to their parent institutions and reporting? How does a lawyer in Turkana, for instance, get to engage with the representative of LSK in the Judicial Service Commission? And then some of these things that we talk about, we probably need to also ask ourselves that as advocates, have we cleaned up our house? Okay, so that even as we go out there to accuse, the other stakeholders in the judicial and in the House of Justice, in the halls of justice, are we sure that we are not participants in the maladministration? Are we sure that we are not participants in the delay of court cases through insistent,
corruption directly?
There's corruption. There is, delays in terms of adjournments. There is sharp practice and all those other issues. It is important that we also come back as a society, sit down amongst ourselves and question each other. Some of the things that, for instance, I've had my learned colleague raise have been raised against members of the bar.
Okay.
Corruption has been raised against members of the bar. There's the issue of sexual harassment. I mean, we had young advocates in the streets demonstrating against senior advocates, against sexual harassment in law firms. Why is it that when it comes to those issues, LSK is not calling for stern action against senior members of our society, but we are very quick to tear down an institution?
All right.
Yeah.
This is a big conversation. Lawyers boycott disrupts court sessions. That happened yesterday. Blanket boycott of all judges and magistrates. But I'm made to understand that a number of judicial officers, a number of magistrates and judges could still experience continued boycott across the country because of these various issues: corruption, chronic delays in case determination, registry inefficiencies, discourteous treatment of advocates, and weak mechanisms for handling complaints against judicial officers. Very briefly, because we need to take a break right now.
Okay, good. There are, let's give it to them, there are very hard-working judicial officers.
Yes.
I give it to them. I truly do. And what Joshua is saying about the LSK failing, really, I mean, there is a housekeeping mechanism that the LSK has for its front. But I think with respect to him, to Joshua, he failed to grasp the monopolistic status of the judiciary. You cannot have a judgment delivered outside the judiciary having that binding force, enforceable through the mechanisms that are laid by a law, because we are governed by the principle of rule of law. You can't make your own judgment. Okay. So you have to go before a judicial officer. If this judicial officer is corrupt, has the tantrums that they throw sometimes, what do you do? Okay. Article 172 says it is a JSC that is supposed to do it, but it's failing.
All right. Well, let's take a short break. We'll be back to continue with more discussions, including matters politics, because I know you just want to listen to politics. This is the TV47 Breakfast.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho, as in kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo 10.
Mzee neighborhood nikae mchoka.
Hii neighborhood ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mkorada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee neighborhood nikae mchoka.
Hii neighborhood ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa.
The push for a united opposition expected to face President William Ruto in next year's general election kicked off on Wednesday after Jubilee Deputy Party Leader Fred Matiang'i hosted Leader Mwananchi leader Edwin Sifuna and his allies at his current office.
We just met with this team. I wish them well, my friend.
According to leaders and aides who attended the meeting, it is a first in a series of engagements between Sifuna and the united opposition principles aimed at building consensus towards the formation of a mega opposition coalition under a joint presidential flag bearer.
Lakini mimi naomba Waluya wote, vile wananchi wote, charity starts at home. Sasa wana Kenya ambao wamempatia Sifuna support, wanauliza sisi wazee na watu wa Western, what are we doing? Are we giving him support? Na nataka kusema nimeongea na wazee wengi wanapatia hii support.
Suba South MP Karoli Omondi has been tasked with organizing the next meeting between Sifuna and Kalonzo Musyoka, with another meeting also expected soon between Sifuna, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and other opposition principals. Wednesday's meeting was also meant to calm fears in Matiang'i's perceived Gusii political backyard that his allies, the majority of whom are elected MPs, have decamped to the Linda Mwananchi movement. The multifaceted campaigns by Linda Mwananchi and the united opposition are expected to continue until close to next year's general election as they seek to consolidate support across their respective political strongholds. Insiders in the opposition camp say a Kalonzo Sifuna ticket is gaining traction due to the two leaders' nationwide appeal, including in the traditional strongholds of the late ODM leader Raila Odinga. Wednesday's meeting comes just days before Leader Mwananchi's tour of Trans Nzoia and Bungoma counties this weekend, where Sifuna is expected to make a major announcement. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Yes, indeed. Politics back on the front pages today. Sifuna Matiang'i wapangana ni ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. On the Star, Matiang'i left out as Sifuna Kalonzo combo takes shape. There's another story, that's the Star. Numbers don't lie. Opposition will pick the best to face Ruto. This is a special report on the Standard. It's also quoted there on the front page. And the Daily Nation has not highlighted this on the front page, but talks about it extensively on page 10. Sifuna Matiang'i meet ahead of homecoming party. Gachagua turns to Raila's playbook in war with Ruto. Now, it would appear, gentlemen, that after the Ol-Kalou by-election, the opposition has been spurred into action. That now things are getting serious and things are moving. Bwana Ikua, I know you were involved very much in what happened in Ol Kalou. That was very much talked about. But what has this done to the opposition or to the United Alternative Government that you can now see all this action within days after that?
Well, thank you, Freddie. Let me first start by sending my message of condolences to the two gentlemen who succumbed to political violence, especially to Gunism attack in Ol Kalou. We lost two young people today in Ol Kalou. We have a requiem mass that is being attended by our party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, at the Arboretum in Ol Kalou. So I take this opportunity to send my message of condolences to those families before we start discussing. But coming into your question, basically what Ol Kalou have done, it has set the stage and it has set the tempo in which the opposition need to pick up quickly. If you remember, previously, the government was taking pride of the by-elections that they had actually won by using all means necessary, violence thereof, to try and create a perception that they are completely, unbeatable. But Ol Kalou was very special. It was special in a manner that it sits right at the center of the mountain, what I would call the mountain block, and it was being, watched and expected by the entire country to be able to showcase what the people versus the government can do, because the Ol Kalou contest was the government versus the people. The two gentlemen who are fighting for positions in Ol Kalou were just victims of circumstances, but the real context was between the people and the government, and that is William Ruto himself. So what the opposition, the United Alternative Government have done, they must seize the moment. And the moment is now the tempo, or what I would call the pace, have been set. And the reality of the fact that the government can rule, not just rules, but rules with a huge margin, 7 times over, has actually been achieved. So they must now move with speed to try and now put up structures, especially on the ways of identifications of the ticket, what I would call the joint ticket. Because I have told you here before we even went to Ol Kalou, I told you that the leaders of United Alternative Government, whoever they are, my party leader Rigathi Gachagua, my friend Matiang'i, I would call Kalonzo Musyoka, everybody must know one thing in particular, and they are already aware of it, that it is not optional of whether or not to bring up a joint ticket amongst all of them. No. It is actually mandatory. And this, it is in the hearts and the minds of the Kenyans who are behind them. Because politicians need to understand that you are as good as the people who are behind you. The believability of the United Alternative Government taking up power is more on the people than on the principals themselves. So that is the strength. And they understand clearly. Kwetu tunasema kusikiza nini? Kusikiza ground. You must listen to the people and what they want, because that is the reason why you seek to be elected in the first place. So the tempo, the speed, the foundation have been set to actualize the one-term movement. And this will be an eventuality that this government cannot avoid. They are going home.
Yes. Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, the feeling before this was that President William Ruto can never lose an election. That one way or the other, the government of the day will prevail in any by-election, because they've done so in all the by-elections we've witnessed. Now, it would appear there's a serious shift in that belief that now, and hence this kind of action we see being captured on all the dailies. Do you agree that President William Ruto right now is at a disadvantage in as far as perception is concerned after Ol Kalou?
Thank you, Fred. Beyond the perception, there was indeed a seismic shift. What good friend Ikua is saying about Ol Kalou, this was what we say eponymous. I mean, it was wholly unexpected on the side of the Ruto camp. Even they were shell-shocked that this actually did happen, but it was going to happen. In my humble view, this was supposed to be the outcome in Mbeere North, but they stole the election. I mean, we saw whatever happened. The replication of the violence in Ol Kalou has happened in Mbeere North, but without the outcome in Mbeere North is what, in my view, has shell-shocked and rattled Ruto, in my view, plus his camp. It was wholly unexpected. But I think the game changer, what it is that is marketed different in Olkalau from Mbeere North, and I'm going to come to Emurua Dikir, because in Emurua Dikir, I think there was the expectation among the voters that really the government will be faithful to the Electoral Code of Conduct. They will conduct, at least they will confine themselves to the rules of the game. And in my humble view, there was no expose in Emurua Dikir. It did happen in a replicated fashion, as indeed it happened in Olkalau. It's only that there was no expose about it. And that exposure, in my view, would have, enabled the voters there to have a different outcome. Because for DCP, in my view, to have garnered over 10,000, was over 10,000 votes in Emurua Dikir, and given at least it is not as, a grown-up political party, if I'm to use that expression with respect, as UDA, then you can see that that is a monumental change. So the perception on the ground is that UDA actually has lived up to the expectation of the larger population of the Kenyan people. It was going to engage in violence. It was going to try and corrupt the electoral process. It was going to maneuver and chest thump and say that we actually will win and will go. With all that euphoria that it did have, then they became blinded to the fact that this is a different ground. And the different ground is that you have people here who are accustomed, quote unquote, to your theatrics, to your lying, to your trying to buy them, to your deception. And because you can see, all of a sudden, there were development, quote unquote, projects that were supposed to be launched and, given out in Olkalau. What timing is this? A coincidence. And they forgot that this is the same, quote unquote, political monster that the Olkalau people had seen before. And in the 2024 finance bill shenanigans that happened, this is the same Kenya Kwanzaa that actually had, abducted and killed their own people. And therefore, the Olkalau voter had, as it were, come of age, and therefore was able then to distinguish, dichotomize between the propaganda that is being peddled on him or her by the Kenya Kwanzaa government, by the UDA political edifice, vis-a-vis the expectation what they have, plus, and this is more fundamental to me, the projected way forward. And this projected way forward is what enabled them to, quote unquote, guard their own votes. And look at the political tactic that was employed by DCP. It took this UDA brigade completely off guard. The youth were able to barricade roads such that vehicles were not able to access the polling stations in a manner that would have enabled stuffing of ballots, for instance, the exchange, the chaos that would have erupted, and so on and so forth. The voting style sort of like changed, that the younger people would vote in the morning and therefore be available, quote unquote, to guard the polling stations, and then the elderly would then vote at the last. This is a shift that UDA did not have. The playbook that they had, in my view, in Mbeere North couldn't play out. Here in Olkalau, this was a different political terrain, and it totally shook them off. So going forward, in my view, this has rattled Ruto in a very big way because of the domino effect of the outcome of the Olkalau political vote. You can hear now in Busia or in the coast that, wait a minute. The seismic shift has even been felt in Tanzania. You can see videos circulating, even in Nigeria, that look, you don't know those Kenyan people. I mean, you see, the police actually are being subjected to searches. We've never seen this before. So I'm saying, going forward, the expectation that the Ruto's UDA had of Olkalau was completely turned upside down. Right. And now, between now and 2027, the question is, does he have sufficient time to launder that image, which in my view, he cannot. Yes. And it's completely tattered. And that's why you can hear the reverberation of the one term.
And if we focus on now the aftermath, because I know we've done enough analysis of what happened in Olkalau. If you look at the dailies today, and I'll start off with the Star, they usually ensure that the spread on page 4 and 5 is a main story on the front page. The story on pages 4 and 5 of this paper today is about President Ruto's running mate headache as 2027 election arithmetic shifts. That means that initially was intended to be the main story on the front page. But now that has taken a back burner. They're talking about Matiang'i left out as Sifuna Kalonzo combo takes shape. That's the coverage. Over the past 2-3 weeks, the People Daily, the front page has been about the president and his prospects and the people and the generals he's using across the country. Now, the story is about why allies want Gachagua to run. It's showing on the front pages, Wakili Nyamori, that the shift even by the media has gone to the United Alternative Government. No one is talking about the president on the front page. Don't you agree that yes, something has really moved?
Fred, if headlines were voting, President William Ruto would not be present today. He was not, on the headlines as we went to 2022. Now, talking about what my colleagues have spoken on, I have seen the headlines and, the discussion about what opposition is doing, but I don't see anything new. These guys have been meeting and preparing to have a candidate since 2022. It has never happened. Basically, what is happening is not, we don't have meeting of minds in the opposition. We just have competing ambitions that are currently, brought together to try and find out if, the ambition of one or some of them can be subordinated simply because they are desperate to beat the strongest man in the room, which is who is President William Ruto. Okay, and looking at the narrative that has been there amongst them for the last 3 years, every one of them believes that he must be the president. Kalonzo Musyoka believes he must be president because a certain prophet told him that he must be president. Rigathi Gachagua suddenly believes he must be president because he won one by-election. And then Matiang'i believes he has to be president because he has to warm the seat for Uhuru Kenyatta's son or brother for 2032. And all of a sudden, they're telling, some are telling Sifuna that he's fit to be president or deputy president simply because he has rebelled against ODM. Okay? But in reality, even polls don't support what they're saying. Okay? And these are very, these are very conservative pollsters who are still putting President William Ruto ahead. The other thing we should know that in politics, we need to be discussing what is the conversion index of the votes that support Kalonzo and Matiang'i, Sifuna, Gachagua, and so on and so forth. The question is, if today Matiang'i is not made the presidential candidate, will the entire Nyamira and Kisii vote shift to support Gachagua because of that? If for instance, Kalonzo Musyoka is not made president, will Eastern province, especially the Ukambani, where he has the strongest support, shift to support Gachagua or Matiang'i? Or my view is that the conversion rate of those votes are very low. Okay, and the history has shown us that this excitement in the opposition to unite, and everybody thinks that they will unite simply to support them. Okay, so that Kalonzo thinks it will unite to support him. This excitement has been there since 1992. Okay, and every time the unity collapses, there is a rearrangement of the entire political scene. And I see a number of them rushing to get space around President William Ruto in 2027.
That cannot happen.
When they fail, when they fail, be disciplined in a national.
Let's allow Akili to pass to respond.
Say things they will be disciplined. Be a little disciplined.
Let's be courteous.
This is not a kangaroo meeting in Mount Kenya. The issue,
gentlemen, please
be disciplined.
Let's allow Akili.
Yeah. The issue is President William Ruto remains the only candidate with a national network. And Olkalau cannot be used to judge the strength of President William Ruto. Olkalau comes emerged from Kipipiri. Kipipiri has always been an oppositionist, constituency. Okay. The other thing you need to know when measuring, the performance in Olkalau is that the candidate who won in Olkalau finished a strong second in 2022, and he got 19,000 votes. So he is not a candidate who has been created by Rigathi Gachagua or has been created by the phantom or united opposition. He is a candidate who held his own. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Allow me to welcome Derek Bett onto the panel. Derek is a political strategist. Karibu sana. And this, I think, is the best conversation that you found here going on. And many are arguing that President William Ruto was caught flat-footed in Olkalau, that the perception that he cannot lose an election, that he's a political chess master, that he has that secret hand that he can, secret card that he can pull at any time and emerge as winner, that perception is now gone. As a strategist, what do you think he should do different to bring the headlines back to him?
I think on Olkalau I can say that democracy won. When you look at the last 4 years, we have had more than nine by-elections, more than 10 by-elections. And President William Ruto and the UDA party has won 9 out of 10. So when you talk about Olkalau, Olkalau is a different case. If you compare, if you look at the history of Olkalau from 2000, from the Kipipiri by-election that my friend Nyamoria has alluded to, Moi lost in 1992. Again, in 2022, UDA was the most dominant party in the mountain, but again it lost to Jubilee. When you look at the candidates that were on that in this by-election, Kamau Ngodho and Sami Mushina, Kamau Ngodho has been on the ground for the past 10 years. He was an MCA there. He also was a candidate of UDA in 2022, and he also narrowly lost. So when you look at those dynamics, you can't say that the UDA party lost as such, and it doesn't really mean anything to national politics, because Olkalau is a different case when you look at the region.
Yet the president and the UDA party were very confident of winning that. I know the explanation now is that, okay, fine, they were not meant to win in the first place. If at all that was the expectation, would they have put the much effort, the kind of effort they put in Olkalau?
UDA was trying to do something for themselves, but then it wasn't something that came out well for them. Yeah.
I like the choice of words. It's not something that came out well. But that failure says something in as far as perception is concerned. I know you're talking about the UDA strength and history, but the question I'm asking is about the perception. To a Gen Z voter who's never voted before, may not understand the history. They've just seen that President Ruto, and the saying has been that President Ruto has never lost an election. He can never lose an election.
Can you give you an example?
One thing that I agree with you is that we are 1 year to an election, to an election period, and it means that regions have now started showing us where they will vote for, and it is something that is good for the UDA party also, because now they will plan early and know where to put their effort in.
Okay.
And I don't know. He has an answer. He still has an answer.
I know.
The perception.
The question about perception, I don't know why people are avoiding it.
No, I said it. I said it has dissipated. No, it was him. And I was pointing so that he probably can answer. The dissipation of that perception. I mean, he no longer, and you rightly put it, he gave out this impression that he's a complete, warrior. Nobody can defeat him. And he used even to have this mantra, Nyorosha, Subuhi na mapema. He nyoroshwad. That perception.
One thing that we must agree is that all elections are meant to be won and lost. And one thing that the president said is that it is okay. It is normal. And one thing I agree with them is that Mount Kenya is is shifting towards the opposition.
It's gone?
Yeah, it's gone, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me...
Because I want us to finish that idea so that we talk about Sifuna and his rise.
Before we talk about Sifuna, may I talk about this response to Wakili Nyamori, who have told me that this is not... this is not a kangaroo court in central Kenya. I don't know why he is so much fixated in always trying to throw Mount Kenya under the bus. Because he is aware. Listen, now you're doing don't heckle me. Now, tulia, shidano ingie pole pole.
Let's all be courteous to each other.
Yeah. I'm trying to respond to him.
Yes,
go ahead. It should not be called out. I should not be called out and then he's not called out. This is what happened. First and foremost, it's laughable. And it's unbelievable that it's coming from such a great mind from the Rick that he has an assumption that by any chance and means, we are going to have anybody from the United Alternative Government joining William Ruto. Nobody can join. In fact, it is anybody else but not William Ruto. That is what they should understand. And I need to explain to you something, Nyamori. I said here, and I know you are not listening, that the force behind the call for a joint candidate from the United Alternative Government is Kenyan call. This is a citizenry call. The individuals who have the responsibility due to their position, current position, have one big responsibility upon their shoulder that has been bestowed by the people of Kenya. People are speaking. And I've told you here today that you need to listen. Last time when we were here with Wakili Nyamori, we were with him in this show, he was very confident that the UDA are going to win Orkarao. I told him that whatever atrocities that you did in Bere are not going to be applicable in Orkarao. You are going to lose Orkarao more than you have never thought. And in fact, the 5,000 votes that UDA got were not William Ruto's votes. If William Ruto was on the ballot in Orkarao, he would have gotten less than 500 votes. And actually, those ones who would have voted for him, they would have hid their face. Because in Orkarao, William Ruto has no vote. I can tell you that for sure. Listen to this. What is happening is that in any context, Fred, and I need you to listen to this because I have been in these discussions before, even when William Ruto was winning. Now that they want to, sweep away the Orkarao win. When UDA came into power, when UDA won against Jubilee, they actually started with a by-election in Rurie ward, which is within Orkarao. That is why UDA was born. And it was actually confirmed in somewhere we called it, by Kawanjiko here in Kiambaa constituency. And from that, when that momentum was picked, UDA was a party to beat. As we speak with you, everybody in the country, if you go to any corner of this republic, including in Mandera, people are calling and saying, congratulations, you have shown us the way. Because the Orkarao way is what is going to be used by Kenyans in 2027 as a manuscript. Because look at what happened. Blatant voter bribery. You don't even hide it anymore. You've seen the expose. And I think they cannot even deny that it has happened. And developments and things that people have never seen since the independence of this country, all of them come and lapped out in goodies form. And the big question that the people of Orkarao are asking, oh, hold on a minute. You're bringing in all this because there's a by-election where you sat down with our rich member of parliament for 4 years and you never gave him anything. Now, conveniently so, now you have started showing signs of development and you can be able to do this. Now, if you look at what happened in Trans Nzoia, when the senator in Trans Nzoia went to do a certain, what was it called? He went to do some certain activity. Everybody banned his merchandise. And they told him, go and bring us gas. Go and bring us mattresses. So you want to assume that nothing happened in Orkarao. You can only be blind or ignorant thereof if you do not know that Orkarao have set the tempo.
The bar has.
And the bar has been risen. And the issue of now, this government was accumulating and taking all the money and putting it in the coffers, in whatever, so that they can come and we have proven in Orkarao. I was there for 5 weeks continuously without coming to this show, despite being invited several times, that no amount of money, no amount of intimidation can take away the sheer will of the Kenyan people to be able to make this government a one-term government.
Very briefly, Wakili Nyamori.
Yeah. You see, my point is not that Mount Kenya has decided to go away from government.
It has.
And Mount Kenya, people have freedom to make a choice. My problem with the argument of my learned brother and Ikua is that they think that Olkalau and Mount Kenya is Kenya. Kenya is much bigger than Mount Kenya. And I want to tell them to, be ready for a surprise. That the rest of the country is seeing the entitlement. Okay? That when they think that they have sat in some forest in Mount Kenya, then the rest of Kenya has decided. And I'm raising this. Allow me to finish.
Which forest?
I'm raising this.
That's like branding a whole tribe or a whole region.
I know. Allow me to finish.
That's not right.
Okay. Let me give you guidance then. Let me give you guidance.
That's not right.
No. You cannot read that statement.
Allow me.
That statement is a cue of our forefathers who sat in
Why can't I refer to the forest?
You can refer to
You
the
refer
mountain.
to
And I say...
Which forest are you talking about?
I have said...
Mount Kenya has a forest.
Mount Kenya has a forest.
Who sat in the forest?
Who sat in the forest? The Mount Kenya leader... Allow me to...
Please.
No.
But
let's not use any degrading.
It is unacceptable. And I want to tell you something, Fred. We cannot let him speak.
Okay, can I finish?
You are trying to ridicule our forefathers who sat in the forest.
Can I finish?
And vote for the independence of this.
Can I finish?
Why would you...
Would it be right?
Allow me to guide this conversation, gentlemen.
Yes.
Because no one can hear you once you speak about the other.
So allow me
to finish. For the sake of this conversation to continue, please do not degrade any.
Okay, allow me to finish. Allow me to finish.
Can you withdraw that?
Bwana Ikua referred to the lake. And I own the lake. That is where I am born.
What do you mean?
And I am saying that Mount Kenya is a forest. Okay?
Is it?
And the Mount Kenya, it's
Why are
an
we dwelling
imagery.
on this? Why are we dwelling on this?
No.
Okay, let me continue. I was just explaining that. My point is that Kenya is bigger than Mount Kenya. And just to, look at the numbers, okay? Mount Kenya has politicians, elite. I'm not talking about Mount Kenya people. Mount Kenya elite has bragged that they can control the politics of the country simply because, for instance, Nyeri has had 63% of its population registered as voters, while Turkana has only 34% of its population registered as voters. Turkana is bigger than Nyeri, okay? Turkana people are registering now. Okay? Kisumu people are registering now. It is something that, this elite that think that only a region can decide the destiny of Kenya cannot do anything about. Because what is happening across the country is that, the citizens from the rest of the country are, accessing their right to vote, which has been denied by structural, which has been denied.
The right to vote has been denied?
Has been denied by structural, obstacles. And I can explain that. When I talk about structural obstacles, there is no reason why 63% of the population of Nyeri should have been registered voters in 2022, while it's only 34%.
And
when I talk about
this argument is going south, and I don't want.
Can I respond?
I don't want you to head there.
I need to respond.
I want to explain what I mean by structural obstacles. Structural obstacles is that the person from Turkana may have to travel almost 20-30 kilometers away to access...
That's a fault of the IBC.
To access registration for an ID.
Are you saying that part of Kenya has been disenfranchised?
Exactly. In my village of Nyamwari, okay? We just registered about 3 weeks ago a 75-year-old who had never had an ID. Okay?
And whose fault is that?
It is the fault of the government.
How?
It is fault of government. Government has having an ID, registering as a voter is a right of every Kenyan. While IDs and IDs and votes were given a doorstep. in Mount Kenya, the rest of the country was denied that opportunity.
If at all someone fails to register as a voter now, would you blame President William Ruto?
It's not... If they are not given an opportunity to register, then I will blame the government.
So have they not ever been given an
IBC's role to register voters?
Sometimes it is not the IBC role, it is the government's role.
It starts with ID.
Voters.
Look at that for registration.
You're a wakili, Bwana Nyamori.
And that's what I'm talking
about.
An
independent commission exists to register voters.
Yes.
How do you blame
start
anyone
from
else?
registration of birth. Then go to the registration of ID. You need to have an ID to register as voters. Go back to the pics or clips that you aired on the Sabasaba Day. You will see that rather than young people in Kisumu going out to riot, they were lined up in their thousands to register, because for the first time, the government has given them an opportunity to register, which was given to Mount Kenya and denied to our people.
No.
Okay. At one point,
you see, that is what, Fred.
Gentlemen,
you need to stop here.
Gentlemen, let's be factual here.
No, he's misreading the country.
Let's be factual.
I didn't know that he is ignorant.
Is it? Let me just ask the question: is it true? Is it true that a higher percentage of adults in Mount Kenya were registered as voters than the rest of the country? It is true.
We cannot
is it true that it is the responsibility of government to register people for IDs? It is true.
I'll have to call you to order. Wakili Nyamori, we cannot use this platform to just raise issues that do not exist and are not factual. Because
what do you mean?
That's a new show by itself.
What do you mean?
I want us to discuss the politics. Yes, issues about registration of persons.
It's going to affect politics.
Issues about registration of persons are different discussion altogether. And if you want us to have that discussion, we can have it.
But it is going to affect the
But you need to let us respond to him.
Yeah,
he has already said it.
Very briefly, I'll give you an opportunity, very briefly.
Yes.
Just a minute.
Give me a minute.
Only a minute.
Give me a minute. I want to call out the ignorance of such a high, well-educated individual. I didn't know. And by the way, I want to say this to Kenyans. If the education you have does not make you a better person and does not make you add value to the society in terms of even informing them, it's useless. I need to ask a very simple question. Registration of voters. How is it the responsibility of Mount Kenya people? It has been the responsibility bestowed by the Constitution to the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission. Every time there is mass registration of voters, it happens across the country. When it comes to matters ID, we still have the same problems in Mount Kenya. A lot of people in Mount Kenya are having the same challenges, just like any other part of the country, as far as the registration is concerned. Okay. ID is a registration done by what we call the provincial administration, and it is started at the chief's level. When he is talking about it has not happened in Turkana, he's lying. I worked in Turkana for 6 years, myself. And I can tell you, the issue of chiefs and assistant chiefs are available everywhere in Turkana. But no, I have not responded. Let me finish. 1 minute. Let me finish.
Because it's going to
but I need to call him out.
You know, that issue is fundamental.
I need to call him out.
I want to Wakili
If you
Harrison
one statement, Fred, I beg you, one statement. My last statement to you, Wakili Nyamori, is this. As much as you want to be ignorant, never ever ridicule our forefathers who went to the forest and fought for the independence of this country. We will never let you do that. We will never let you do that.
Thank you, Bonek.
We did not. They did not.
They did
it for the sake of this country.
Let's not do that.
And if you are sleeping and your generation was sleeping, it's not our fault.
Your turn.
Thank you very much. I think I should add my voice to that. The denigration of any group of people or region to say that, you know, they went to the forest, they sat in the forest, and we're talking about all Kalau. That's denigrating a people, and it is wrong. The same way I cannot, you have not heard from my mouth, Flo, anything about your region or about you, because out of sheer respect, I think it would be wrong for me, denigrating, and I would have sunk to a level which I cannot even be able to climb from if I went to that level. So I think it is wrong, and he should retract that. Now, having said that, you had to ask, how about this Sifuna and Matiang'i liaison, and what does it portend, or what are the marks that we should probably be looking at and seeing? And in my view, I think Sifuna's Linda Mwananchi is suffering a handicap that may hamstring them as we go along towards 2027. They do not have a political outfit. Other than the phraseology, Linda Mwananchi, they do not have a political party. They do not have, at the same time, the blueprint that they will go into the election. Because there are those who are saying that Sifuna should be actually a presidential candidate. Sifuna should second, as it were, Honorable Musyoka. And that would be, according to them, the winning streak. Now, Sifuna has been stripped of his roles in the Senate, from the committee, from the leadership, and including the ODM political party. But he is still in ODM. And in my view, he went to Honorable Matiang'i's, the office in that capacity, still in ODM. So there is that section of the ODM, the Linda Mwananchi, that still sees him as part of ODM. But what are the negotiations that he would have within that amorphous setup? He doesn't have a political party that they would be negotiating with Honorable Matiang'i, because Matiang'i is standing in that position as a Jubilee representative, a presidential candidate, nominated, declared, out there in the open. So the sort of disequilibrium that you have, they're not operating on the same level, because this is a political party-backed person, Matiang'i, and you have Linda Mwananchi without anything. And allow me to divert a little bit. And this is a handicap that we have in this country. That UDA, for instance, goes out to the Kenyan people and says, this is what we will be doing, and this is our manifesto. At what point do the Kenyan people get to question these individuals, or they who offer themselves as presidential candidates? What do you want to do for us and for me that is different from what we have? Against what can we then benchmark you halfway through your tenure and throughout to the end? Now, if now Matiang'i and Sifuna come into some form of agreement, don't you see there is a likelihood of this not even having any consequence? Because, Sifuna will have what, to commit to. It's just an MOU as him as a person. Suppose, and peradventure, that they now break away from ODM, and ODM somehow is able to seal that, sort of hemorrhage, and says that, well, we're able to work with UDA, and they reshape and refashion themselves. I hear that they're engaging the services of Joshua here to try and merge ODM and UDA. I don't know. He probably can confirm, because he's part of that broad-based monster. Now, if then Sifuna doesn't have that political party affiliated to ODM, the question is now, will whatever political outfit he will probably have then be having the backing of the ODM supporters?
Wakili, allow me to direct this question to Derek.
Yes.
And could it be that it's a formation of a Western axis, that the western side of this country is now the new hunting ground for votes after Mount Kenya did whatever they did, that both the president and now the united opposition see the western axis as a place where everyone should be? And now Matiang'i coming together with Sifuna, they represent that side of this country. And because we do expect that this weekend, Sifuna will be going for a homecoming rally in both Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. What does that mean? Is it a formation of the western side and trying to form what they can offer to any of these two sides?
Before I answer you that question,
please don't go back to Olkalao.
There's one thing that I want to go back to Olkalao, because we have had a very unfortunate discussion here, and I want to say that that unfortunate discussion is because of the opposition figures and the kind of messaging that they have been having. The reason as to why you are hearing people talking about my region is because these people have decided to take us back to the politics of, to tribal politics, other than discussing politics of agenda and what they want to do to Kenyans. The other thing that I want to say about the Sifuna and Matiang'i axis is that they are still political amateurs. They are people who are trying to build them. I don't think Sifuna and Matiang'i are serious to be president in 2027, but they are trying to build something for 2032. When you look at, I agree with Wakili that one thing about the Kenyan politics is that for you to win any election, you must have to plan yourself well. Sifuna doesn't have a party. He doesn't have, he's a non-starter. He doesn't have an agenda. What is he selling? Other than saying that Mimi ni Sifuna. What is it that the Kenyan people can look up to him as a blueprint of what he's going to do to the Kenyan people? So when you look at these opposition figures, I think they still have a long way to go, and they still have a long way to think about what they want to do to Kenyans, other than telling us that they come from this region, this other region. So Western politics. Sifuna, at the moment, is trying to build base. But when you look at the politics of the Western region, the Bukusus have never voted with the people from Kakamega. So he has a lot of balancing acts that he has to still work on, and we are looking at how we'll maneuver this stage.
Yes. Do you agree, Bwana Nyamori, that this is about the Western Kenyan vote and everyone is looking towards the West? And the West, I'm not just saying Western Kenya, Kakamega and Busia. I'm looking at even Luo Nyanza, which is okay, probably in broad-based, but there's the Kisii region as well that could be considered Western.
Yeah, the Western Kenya is going to part of Rift Valley, Kisii, Kuria, Luo Nyanza, and Western Province, former Western Province, is going to play a critical role in this election, just like the coast is going to play a critical role and the Northern Kenya are going to play a critical role. And this is because, one, the Raila Odinga, who had a sway on the region, is no longer in the ballot, okay? The question is, to which side has the vote shifted? I can tell you for sure that in my region, the votes have shifted to a man, to William Ruto.
Okay? Which specific region is that?
Yes. That is Nyanza. That is Nyanza.
Wider Nyanza? Or
wider Nyanza. Okay. Kuria, President William Ruto had a significant, in fact, defeated Raila Odinga in, were they both or one of the? Both constituencies. But Raila Odinga had a sizable number, okay? Kuria is shifting wholesomely to William Ruto, okay? Now, the Nyamira and Kisii area, Nyamira had shifted to Matiang'i, and I'm talking from polls. Kisii was still, 50-50. Okay? Now, the question is, if Matiang'i is not the presidential candidate, will they shift to vote for Kalonzo or vote for Gachagua? My view...
Or Sifuna?
My view, if you look at the history of that vote, is that a significant part of that vote will shift towards William Ruto. Now we go to Western Province.
Based on what? Based on what? Because Kisii has been in ODM...
One, I've told you that Kisii, despite the presence of Matiang'i, the Kisii is still a battleground. And President William Ruto is having a very strong showing in Kisii.
Because of ODM?
Not because of ODM, but also because of his own engagement with the county. But beyond that, Nyamira would be understandable because Matiang'i comes from Nyamira, okay? And the fact that Matiang'i sponsored a party in 2022, I can't remember the name of the party.
UPA.
And it is UPA that is showing as the strongest party, even now, in Nyamira. It is not Matiang'i's party, which is what is Matiang'i? Jubilee. It is not. Okay? So what people should also know, that Jubilee is not the real Matiang'i party. The real Matiang'i party is UPA, that is created pre-2022. And the question is, if Matiang'i then is not in the ballot, will that vote follow Gachagua?
Okay.
I doubt. When you go to Western Kenya, I agree with what my brother Bet is mentioning. That I remember I was one of these guys who would go ahead of Raila Odinga in 2007 to campaign. So and then brief him before he speaks. So I went with him to Bungoma, and when I went with him to Bungoma, it was very clear that Bungoma people did not want anything to do with the rest of the Luyas. And this has played out in all the elections. And the rest of the Luyas do not want anything to do with Bungoma, the Bukusu. That has always played out. The question is, one, the Sifuna factor, if it is to be seen as an ethnic, shift, can only shift probably part of the Bukusu vote. Okay? And I doubt that it can shift the rest of the Luya land. But then, I keep saying, Sifuna was Secretary General of the biggest, if not the second biggest party in the country. When when you if you want to see the strength of an individual, you ask yourself that when he shifted, what is the percentage of the structure that shifted with him? This guy shifted with no part of the Central Committee of ODM.
Okay.
He shifted with no part of the National Executive Committee. He did not shift with any part of the governance, the National Governance Committee. He did not carry forward any part of the National Delegates Committee. I have not seen Sifuna convene everywhere he goes, rather than, apart from stopping in the bus stops, okay, and making populist decisions. I have not seen him go to Western Kenya and convene the grassroots structures on ODM, and therefore say that he controls ODM. Okay. I am privy to a poll that says that ODM is still quite a significant party in the Western region.
Western region?
Yeah, and the side
Not
of
UDA?
the side. No. I must speak. I must speak the truth from what I see in the polls. The interesting thing about the Linda Mwananchi is that while Sifuna is being projected as the carrier of the spirit of Linda Mwananchi, Orengo is declaring daily that he's the party leader and he's the presidential candidate.
Okay, because of time,
okay,
allow me. We have exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds for each one of you for your final comments. And I'm going to use a stopwatch because I won't allow you to go beyond that, Ikua. We'll start with you. Final comments only.
It's unfortunate that this is happening when I'm just about to respond to him. and he will give me all the time he wants. Yeah. So I need to remind Wakili Nyamori that he has not won in a presidential context. All the side he has supported before have lost. And he has lost because of the same thing that he is displaying here. Sheer ignorance of how I would call what makes a presidential vote win. What makes a presidential vote win in this country is purely regional balancing. You have to go for the numbers from the regional perspective. Mm-hmm. And that is why you can see they are all worked up, including Bet on the other side, because the numbers are not favoring them. The numbers are not on their side. The impact and the impact that whichever side that Sifuna is going to, to support will have a huge impact on the winning trajectory. Sifuna is such a big thing in the country right now, and only someone who does not understand how numbers accumulate into a ballot box would ignore Sifuna, especially because of the rich Western bloc that he is just about to take over. So what I need to say is this. When ODM, when ODM decided to leave, Ukambani out, to leave Kisii out, and now they've chased Sifuna out so that he can bolt out with a lot of Western, they just reduce themselves into the smallest party in this Western side of Sifuna. And by the way, what do you require? And I need to ask that question. Do you require the party structures or do you require the people? Your party is as strong as the people behind you.
Thank you, Bwana Ikua. Wakili Harrison.
Thank you very much. There has been a political seismic shift from the traditional manner of dealing with the electorate. I think that's something that UDA Brigade have not woken up to. They need to wake up and realize that we have a large swath of the Gen Zs, the younger people who are registered as voters, but because the IEBC was using the 2022 register, the roll of voters, these were disenfranchised and were cut off from voting in Olkalau, Mbeere North, Emura Dikir, and in Malava, excuse me. And by reason of that, then we do not have their contribution. Their voice was not heard. And probably this accounts for their absence in the polling stations, because people would ask, where are the Gen Zs? We didn't see them vote. But the reality is the IEBC had declared and announced that because of the late registration and because of the need to clean up the register of voters, they could not then be in the register within time. And that's why they were using the 2022 voter register. Now, as we go forward, the Kenyan people are much more enlightened, much more demanding, much more into the terms of an accountable leader, one who will not just come with euphoria, with goodies. The Olkalau experience has brought that. And so now it's a wake-up call to these people. What are you going to do for the Kenyan people that is different from what is happening? Show us your blueprint. Let us know who you are, and we'll hold you to account.
Thank you, Wakili. Wakili Nyamori.
Yeah, this election is going to be decided by historical grievance against entitlement. okay? And that historical grievance, unites Nyanza, unites Western Province, unites Coast, unites the northern Kenya, and unites the poor who are getting opportunities under this administration, as against those who are getting annoyed because they feel entitled to the privileged positions they have held in this country since 1963. So this election is one election that is going to unite the country against regional entitlement. Thank you.
Okay, finally, Bet.
It is very unfortunate that my seniors here, Wakili and Ikoa, are saying that I believe that by winning one by-election, they will win the next presidency. I believe that this election will be won by a person who has an agenda for the country, rather than people who are moving around arguing that they are from different regions and different tribes. So I believe that the silent majority and the majority of Kenyans are seeing what the president is doing, and they'll hand him the next term.
Derek Bet, political strategist; Joshua Nyamuri, advocate of the High Court; Harrison Kinyanjui, advocate of the High Court; and Ikua Wambote, political analyst. Our panelists this fine Thursday morning, and I know it got fiery at some point. It does happen. Yes, we're just counting down to the next general election, and I know the discussions will get heavy and fever pitch. But allow me to thank all of you for your time at TV47 this morning. After the break, we switch discussions and talk about job creation. Creators versus job seekers, how university innovation hubs empower graduates. Later on, we'll be talking about man-to-man talk, married but single. What does that mean for men? Do stand by for that. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.